Hey, hi. Good morning, everyone. Today, we welcome you to yet another one on one spotlight focus with one of our great therapists. And today, we have with us Cecilia Chau, who is um, expert in anxiety disorder, uh, grief and grief and loss of loved ones, um, relationship conflicts, parenting, and family dynamics. Um, Before we set the ball rolling, I want to give you a brief introduction to Cecilia, which she herself is going to do now, and then we go get on to some Q&A and some perspective on grief and loss of loved ones. We are particularly focusing on grief and loss of loved ones today. Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'm Cecilia, or some people call me Cece, and my expertise is in art psychotherapy. So that's how I started off being a psychotherapist. But I have grown into a trauma-informed therapist that uses a humanistic approach to work with all sorts of people, actually. Doesn't have to be just anxiety or loss or and I think all sorts of folks can benefit from therapy. So I would say I'm just kind of like a person of all trades. And I happen to be also a clinical supervisor for some students that are becoming therapists or therapists that are new to the, you know, into the industry, and I offer some supervision as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Cecilia, for that introduction. So let's dive in right into the questions. And to the audience, if you have any comments or any thoughts that you want to share, please feel free. Also, if you want to share any, ask any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. So over to you, Cecilia. What is grief?
Oh, that's a big question. Uh, there's lots of different definitions, but a lot of people often refer to grief as like a process of going through the steps of the loss of someone, but often we forget that if we lose something or you're missing somebody in your life, that doesn't mean that they have to be gone for good. Um, Anything that is a loss can be or needs to be grieved. And usually people go through these stages. Um, most most popular or well-known theory would be the 5 or 7 stages of grief, with which kind of goes through you know stages of denial, anger, and then bargaining, and then depression, and then kind of coming back into acceptance. But this is an older model that was designed for people who originally was designed for people who have like chronic illnesses that were kind of like accepting the fact that they are grieving the loss of someone, or they grieving the loss of their going to lose their lives. But I a newer approach to thinking about grief is that grief never really leaves you, and that's okay, because if as long as you are willing to feel, then you can be able to grieve. And losing someone doesn't mean that it's the end of everything. And so I like to take that approach more, and I think that is something that we all always often have to deal with. Like losing a job can be some sort of grief. Losing a pet can be a grief. Losing a relationship can be a grief. It doesn't have to be life or death that we talk about.
Got you. Yeah. So, what might someone who's grieving look like? What are the symptoms that you can see in a person? Or is it evident? Is it not evident?
Well, I mean, there are some typical ones where like someone might be like quieter or they're like sad or crying, but it's really a very personal journey, and everyone does their own grieving in different ways. And sometimes, when people are going through the process, you don't it's not a linear um, journey. So they kind of go, some days are better, some days are worse, and that's totally fine. I'm here to kind of destigmatize the idea of like, oh, you have to eventually be okay. Of course, we want to be like that, but sometimes it's hard and it takes time and it takes a community to actually become more able to accept the loss of someone or something, right? Um, yeah, so there isn't exactly like a ooh, check all these boxes and you're grieving. Some people can put on a strong face, especially there's a cultural piece as well. Some cultures they're like, nope, everything's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm like, you might be saying one too many. I'm fine to be okay, and those are the folks that may need more time to really start to open up their feelings and find some support from professionals like a therapist or even a friend. Um, so yeah, there's no one specific look or way to act when you're grieving.
Got you. When someone loses someone they love, what should be the ideal thing to say to them? What if it is a child who's experiencing the loss? Um,
Yeah, it's really tough, especially for like young children that loses someone that's important or something that's very important. But, often people would go and say, "Oh, they're in a better place," or, "Don't worry, time will heal." And all these things are nice to say, but the intention is well-meaning, but it actually devaluate the kind of like dismiss the person that's grieving, um, of the feelings that they have. And without validating their feelings, then they can't move forward. So even for little children, like when my children were young and we lost our pet, our little bunny, because of old age, I just, say it as a matter of fact and let them know that, um, our bunny has their time is up on this earth and they are off to another part of the world where they have I call it the sky world. And but that doesn't mean that our bunny is gone in our hearts because they all our memories are still there and all the joy that we have spent with our bunny stays with us. So there's always a little part of us with within our heart that is a special place for our bunny. So I think children can really accept that if you're being honest with them, as long as you're not using like big vocabularies or anything.
yeah, I'm sorry that your kids had lost their pet. I hope,
Oh,
they,
we did a whole big ceremony and, you know, made our peace with it and at times they still think about it, but now that time has passed. It's been quite a while. They just think about the fond memories now. At first, of course, you remember the sadness, but I mean, it does get easier, but don't say that when someone just started grieving. But you just need the support. You just need to feel like you're not alone.
yeah, absolutely. Um, what do I do when I or someone we know is stuck and can't seem to be moving forward? Like, they it is like unconsolable. They cannot move on, or they do not want to move on. How do we help?
Yeah.
What 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 do you
If
think? the best
If
tips?
they are willing to, like, cry or, you know, at least express their feelings, that's the way to go, because that will start your process to grieve. Um, it is when people are trying to pretend nothing has happened and like, push their feelings down, that's when it gets really challenging, because that means they're not open up to even talking about it, or even admitting the fact, and they're just kind of like, "Oh, life goes on." If people are in tears, let them have their tears, because I personally think that tears are very healing. And there's actually science behind that. There was a research done that different types of tears have different components, or, well, I don't really know all science part, but they say that, like, if you're tearing because, oh, something's in your eye, there's like, it's tears looks like this, and then when you're crying because of emotions, it looks like this. And there is a healing component in the tears. So scientifically, tears are actually healing if they are doing, if they are crying for a purpose. So tears are something that I welcome in my practice. So definitely be there for them and just listen with an open heart, and I think that's the most important thing.
Got you. Thank you. Um, how do we remember people, those that are gone? What is considered normal or um,
Well, I mean, I don't think there's like a normal or an abnormal way. I think everyone has their own special, unique way. Like, I lost my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, when I was a teenager, and to this day, every so often I'll be like, "Good morning, Grandpa," or like I'll just like, when I'm alone and I do something or read something that reminds me of him, I would think about him, and I would have a dialogue with him in my head, I mean, or out loud if I'm alone. Uh, some people might find that weird, but I don't think so. But so everyone has their own way. Some people do art, such as like, doodle, or some people would write a song, or they would look at photos of the past and remember the memories. There are many ways that we can really honor the impact that the person has made for on you. So I think there isn't a right or wrong way, as long as you're not harming yourself or anyone else.
got you? Yeah. So I'm looking at the kind of questions that we've got. Um, yeah, somebody's asked. I get keep getting thoughts about uh, somebody dear to me who's
Mhm.
passed off, and how do we overcome that?
Mm. Well, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss, whether it's recent or a while ago. It always hurts. It does hurt, and I want to honor that. And the fact that you're showing up for our conversation today, that's I'm honoring you for doing that, and honoring your feelings. Sometimes we, life is not like always happy and goes smoothly, right? So that's part of life. It is a cycle of life that death is part of the cycle, and in one way, they the body might not be here anymore, but that doesn't mean that the if you believe in this, like the memories and the spirit of the person stays within you. Sometimes, I would find myself sounding a lot like my grandmother, and I'm like, "Oh, grandma, you're here watching over me. And um, and I think that if we can shift our perspective and think about how this person has impacted us in a positive way, I think that can be a lot more healthy for your journey into healing.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks for answering that. How did you get to know about HealerBuddy?
Well, I was looking around on the internet, and I'm always looking for ways to support folks that need access to therapy. And in the past, I've worked with remote uh, locations where there's no one that can go and uh, have a therapist on site. Like I worked with indigenous reserves and people that lived in like rural area, and I started doing remote and telephone therapy, and I realized that, oh, it actually does work. and and obviously COVID shows that it does work. It's sometimes it's hard to find time or find the right place or find the right therapist, and so I'm always on the look for new venue or new uh avenue for accessing mental health services, and that's how I came across HealerBuddy.
Great. Great to know that. What would be some of the key benefits for clients to go to HealerBuddy?
Well, I mean, mental health is still quite stigmatized. So, first of all, some people don't want to have people know that they go to a therapist. And I totally get that. So that's one thing, privacy, right? And it's also convenient because you can find someone that works with your work schedule. Most therapy that's not done through online, usually you have to like drive there and go, and that's a lot of hassle. If there's a snowstorm, then you're like, oh, what do I do, right? Safety or like healing, right? So um
Absolutely.
you can avoid all of that by going online and giving your therapist a call and booking a time. So I think that it's really convenient, and sometimes also just that privacy and comfort of your home as well. Being in your own space, and you can like be like wearing your PJs and like having a cup of warm beverage while talking to your therapist. I think that's awesome. So I think that's really a good option for folks that may not want to be out and about, to still get help when they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Our whole concept is about accessibility, convenience. At a click of a button, you can start off with your mental health journey. And we are here to help. HealerBuddy has a array of therapists who are expert in various areas, and you can put them on the filter, and those would populate, or you can choose a particular therapist and start with your mental health journey. So we do not have any further questions. I want to leave this one-on-one with Cecilia with the thought that if you want to have a lengthier chat or a lengthier session with Cecilia, please go ahead, sign up with HealerBuddy, and start up start off with a one-on-one session with her. And as you all know, we are on a promo offer currently. No sign-up fees, no subscription fees. You only pay for the therapist charges. So thank you
Well,
once again.
thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Cecilia. um, all the best to everyone.
Have a great day, and I hope everyone stay warm.
Yeah, stay